Resourceful Designer, episode 238, Cloud Sync versus Cloud Backup.
Welcome to the Resourceful Designer podcast, offering solutions to streamline your graphic and web design business so you can get back to designing. And now, your host. He started a club in grade school for guys named Mark Descote.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, we had, I think it was 7 Marks in the club, 6 of them who spelled our names with a K, and we had one oddball who spelled his name with a C. And we used to do things like toy swaps and lunch swaps, and we even had matching club bracelets for a while. I do remember there was one kid at the school called Marco, and we wouldn't let him join. What can I say? It was grade 3, and, kids were mean to each other back then. Anyway, in this episode, I'm going to talk about 2 completely different services that are often confused with each other, namely Cloud Sync and Cloud Backup. I'm also going to share a resource that if you're a Divi user, you're going to want to know about. Now, what have I been up to? Well, I've been doing a lot of podcast artwork lately. If you're not familiar with the podcast space, come December, Apple, who is the main podcast directory, and a lot of other podcast apps pull from the Apple directory. Apple slows down in December to get ready for the holiday season, which means that if anybody wants a podcast launched late December, early January, they really have to get it into the system early. And because of that, I've been getting a lot of people contacting me wanting artwork because they want to get in before the new year. So that's been keeping me very busy. I've also been asked by my local business enterprise center. That's the organization that takes care of new businesses in the area. They help people to start their own businesses and all that stuff. And if you need business information, you go there. Well, they've asked me if I would be their quote unquote go-to expert for all things related to websites, branding, and marketing. They've received a federal government grant to help businesses that are in need, especially those that were affected by COVID. So if any business approached them and they need help with websites, branding, or marketing, they've asked me to be the expert and not necessarily work with the client, although the client can hire me if they want to, but just to be a consultant and to discuss with the clients what they should do, what steps they can take towards making sure their website or their branding or their marketing strategy is working better for them. And the Business Enterprise Center will be paying me for my time to do this, and paying quite handsomely, I might add. So I don't know how much work's going to come that way, but just the fact that they approached me to be their go-to expert for websites, branding, and marketing was a very nice thing to hear. That's a little bit of what I've been up to. Of course, spending a lot of time in the Resourceful Designer community, which right now is still closed to new members. I have been getting a bunch of people sign up since I did close it, so I have a bunch of people on the waiting list to get in once it opens in 2021. So I'm not going to say much more about it. If you are interested in the community, you can visit resourcefuldesigner.com/community to learn more and to put your name on the waiting list if you are interested in joining. And now, this week's Resource of the Week. And this week's resource is the Divi Marketplace. This is a marketplace that is put out by Elegant Themes. Elegant Themes is the company that created Divi. Well, they created a marketplace where individuals and companies can sell their Divi-related wares. Now, Divi on its own is an amazing web builder. I've been using it for years. In fact, it's the only thing I use to build websites. But it's also backed by a growing community of developers and designers. And the Divi Marketplace is the place to find tons of both free and premium extensions, layouts, and other products that complement Divi and will actually help you build unique, beautiful websites. I had a client that needed a pricing table that was much more robust than the one that came with Divi. They wanted one of those tables that would list all the services on the side and different tiers across the top, and have check marks under, if you want this service at this tier, does it offer this, and which services offers which options, with the check marks and then the various prices at the bottom, and them being able to then click on which one to purchase. Well, that's something that the Divi pricing module, it's a little bit too much for that one. And I was trying to find options, but then quickly looked in the marketplace, and I think it was $39. I found an add-on that created the exact thing we wanted. And within 15 minutes, I had it configured and all set up, and I was able to move on to other parts of the website. So $39 I spent there, which of course the price gets passed on to the client, and it saved me so much time. And now the website looks so much better than if I just tried to build it with Divi alone. So if you are a Divi builder, meaning you build websites using Divi, please check out resourcefuldesigner.com/Divi Marketplace. Now that is an affiliate link. If you do follow resourcefuldesigner.com/Divi Marketplace and you do make a purchase, I will make a commission on any qualifying sales. So I just wanted to put that out there. So that's this week's Resource of the Week, the Divi Marketplace. And now, Cloud Sync versus Cloud Backup. You know how important it is to back up your computer. Should the unforeseen happen, your backup is all that stands between you being able to get back to work in as short a delay as possible, or you having to tell the client that you've lost everything you've ever designed for them. Now, in the old days, back in the day, a backup consisted of storing files on floppy disks. Then we graduated to things like zip drives and jazz drives. You remember those? And then it was CDs and DVDs. They became the preferred method for backing up your files. And depending on the size of your organization and, of course, your budget, you can always back up to digital tape as well. Now, of course, all of these were easily transportable backups, the ones you could take with you and store safely off-site. Now, we also had external hard drives, expensive bulky things that were great for backing up your entire computer, but you needed a couple of them for a true backup solution, with one of them always stored off-site. It was the safest way. If something happened to the building, you had a big fire and everything burnt down, you always wanted to have a backup off-site. Now, of course, things have come a long way since those days. The price of hard drives have come way, way down. And you can store hundreds of thousands of files on a drive that's actually smaller than a stick of gum. It's incredible when you think of it. So there's no excuse for not having a backup solution in place. Now, out of everything I just mentioned, plus all the various other methods of backing up that I didn't mention, the one flaw in most people's backup strategies was the off-site backup. Most people started off with the best intentions, perhaps making sure that a fresh new backup was moved off-site every single day. Then, as time went by and no catastrophe happened, those daily off-site backups became maybe weekly backups and then monthly backups, until you actually had to look at the calendar to figure out when the last off-site backup was made. Raise your hand if this sounds familiar. I know it happened with me. Now, whether your backup was daily, weekly, monthly, or more, it didn't make much difference until your system failed you. And boy, oh boy, did it make a difference then. It's bad enough if you've lost a day's worth of work, but to lose a whole week or even more, now that's catastrophic. And for anyone who was around computers in the 90s and early 2000s, you've heard the stories. And hopefully you were not one of those stories. And then the cloud was born. The mysterious digital cloud. A place somewhere where you can store your files safely, off-site, without having to physically take a hard drive or disks anywhere else. Okay, that's enough of a history lesson. It's 2020 at the time I'm recording this, and I do hope that you're aware of what the cloud is by now and how to use it to back up your files. But just in case, the cloud is simply a group of computers somewhere in the world that some company manages. These groups of computers are also known as data centers. And when you sign up for a cloud service or a backup service, you are, in effect, renting a certain amount of storage space in one of these data centers. Sorry if I just ruined your idea of what the magical storage centers floating in the sky, being the cloud, but they're just computers in a data center somewhere in the world. Now, even though Cloud Sync and Cloud Backup use similar data centers, both are different in how they function. There's a common misconception that they're both the same thing. but they're not. In fact, if you want to go by today's standard backup practices, you should be using both a cloud sync and a cloud backup as your strategy. If you're not, you may be compromising your backup solution. So what's the difference between the two? I'm going to start off with cloud sync. In essence, services like Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, and of course there's many others out there, those are cloud syncs. They work by designating a specific area on your hard drive, such as either a single or a group of folders, and synchronizing them to the data center that's operated by whatever service you signed up with. This syncing service allows you to access your files from different locations. If you're working on a design project and you make a change to it at home on your iMac in the morning, then you can grab your laptop and head off to a client's office and show them the file there. And while there, if they decide they want to make a minor change to it, you can make a change right then and there to the same file on your laptop. Then later when you get back home, you can access that file once more, and the changes you made while at the client's office are there. They're present in the file you open on your iMac. And that's because they're synced through a cloud syncing service. Should you need a third-party contractor, such as maybe a copywriter, to have a look and make some changes, you just give them access to the file and they can make whatever changes they want. And then when you open the file on your computer, those changes are there. As long as the file is in the sync folder, it can be opened, it can be worked on, and it can be saved from anywhere. Now, what's important to note with cloud syncing is that it's only the files stored in the sync folder that are accessible from everywhere. If the file in question is an Adobe InDesign file, InDesign itself needs to be installed on your iMac, on your laptop, and on any third-party computers, such as the copywriter. They need to have InDesign installed in order to access the file, because it's just the file itself that is synced. However, what you have to be careful with is things like fonts and maybe the digital assets that you have that make up that file may not be stored in the sync folder along with the files. And if that's the case, then they're not available from everywhere. So if you forget to put a file in the designated syncing folder, it does not get synced. Now, most syncing services charge you based on the amount of data that you store with them. If you need more room, they will always offer you a bigger and more expensive tier that you can use. In fact, they encourage you to use it as much as possible because they'll make more money the more you buy from them. Now, one of the downsides of cloud sync services is should something happen to the file, it happens everywhere. For example, say the copywriter accidentally deletes the file from the sync folder on their computer. Well, that file gets deleted on your computer as well because they're synced. Should the file get corrupted at some point, it will be corrupted everywhere. Now, yes, some services, depending on what you're paying for or what level you're paying for, will offer what they call a version history feature. So you can go back and recover a file that maybe was accidentally deleted or was corrupted, or even just a file that you made some changes to and you want to go back to. They do offer a version history up to a certain point. And one more thing to note about Cloud Sync is, should your computer be compromised in any way, say you get a virus or your computer is hacked and the synced folder on your computer is affected by it, having your file stored there won't help you because whatever is affecting it on your computer will affect those files throughout everywhere. So if your desktop computer gets hacked or gets a virus and all that, and then you try to access the files on your laptop, whatever happened to them is going to be visible there. And if it is a virus, it gets passed on to your laptop and so forth. But many people use cloud sync, such as Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, to store all their working files specifically for that reason, so that they can access them from multiple devices and from multiple locations, as well as share them with multiple people. It is great for that purpose. Now, the second thing is cloud backup. Now, a cloud backup service, such as Backblaze or Carbonite, they work in the background. In most cases, once you set them up, you don't even realize they're there anymore. You never have to do anything with them. Now, just for the record, I use Backblaze myself, and I am an affiliate with Backblaze. So I wanted to just put that out there. Backblaze is $60 per year. I've used them to back up, I think, the last 3 or 4 computers I've had. And if you do decide to check them out, I do have an affiliate link with them, which is resourcefuldesigner.com/backblaze. If you do use that link, it doesn't cost you anything extra, and I make a small commission on the sale. But whether you use Backblaze or some other service, what they do is they monitor everything on your computer, and they back up any new or any changed data it finds to the cloud. So as you create new files, they get backed up. As you make changes to existing files, they get backed up. As you get new emails in, they get backed up. As you make purchases and buy new products, upgrade your applications, they all get backed up. And what's great about these services is usually you pay one fee and it's unlimited backup storage space. There's no tiered pricing like Cloud Sync has. And most cloud backup solutions do offer a version history. So say you're working on a file on your computer and it gets corrupted, you can just go to the backup and retrieve a previous version of it. Or if you're working on a file and you realize, I don't like the direction I'm going on, I really like the way it looked yesterday when I was working on it, you can just go to the backup and download yesterday's version of the file and pick up from then. It's that easy. So cloud backup is very similar. If you're familiar at all with Apple's Time Machine or other similar services, they ran mostly on a physical hard drive that you had. Well, cloud backup is very similar to that, but it's done in the cloud. And because it's automated, there's no need to put your files in a dedicated syncing folder. Your entire computer is backed up, so you know that everything you have is protected. But unlike Cloud Sync, you are not working directly from the files in the cloud. You work on a file on your computer, and then that file gets backed up. Now, if you're using both services together, you can be working on a file that's in the Cloud Sync folder. It will be synced to that cloud, and you can have it backed up to the cloud backup. I know it's getting a little meta here. But even though you're not working on the actual file that's being backed up, you can still share the backup with someone else should the need arise. But because it's not synced, should they take a file and make any changes to it, it won't be backed up because it doesn't back up their computer, it's only backing up yours. So it's kind of a one-way transfer in that essence. So cloud backup is there to protect you so should something happen to your actual computer, and not just should something happen to a certain dedicated file or folders on your computer. So best case scenario is you should use both a Cloud Sync and a cloud backup solution. That's what I do. I use both Dropbox, and I house important files in there that I might need to access from multiple devices or files that I need to share with others. And I use Backblaze to make sure that everything on my computer is backed up to the cloud. Now, one thing I need to talk about is recovering your data from both of these services. Should you maybe have to get a new computer because something happened to your old one? Let's say you dropped your laptop and it's beyond repair and you can't connect to it in order to transfer the files from the old computer to the new computer. If you need to retrieve your files from a Cloud Sync, it can get quite cumbersome because the only way to do it is downloading via the internet. So it can take a long time, especially if you're paying for one of the high tiers that has multiple terabytes and you need to download that. It could take days to download everything. And you better have unlimited internet or else you'll be paying an arm and a leg for overage fees for those downloads. Now, a cloud backup service such as Backblaze, they also allow you to download your files over the internet. But Backblaze, and I'm not sure about any of the other services, I know Backblaze because that's who I use. They also have a service where they will overnight ship you a physical USB hard drive of all your files. And then you can quickly copy them to your computer and get up and running very fast. And if you return the hard drive to them, they'll give you a full refund on it. So that's an amazing feature. I've never had to take advantage of it. Knock on wood. I hope I never do. But it's peace of mind knowing that if I need to get back up and running on a brand new computer, I can have my backup here within 24 hours, transfer everything, and be back up and running. So, which one of these services is right for you? Now that you know what each service does, let me tell you that you should be using both Cloud Sync and Cloud Backup. And that's on top of a physical in-house backup to an external hard drive you have. Just because you're using the cloud is not an excuse to have a local backup. I'm talking about another hard drive outside your computer. It's a 1-2-3 approach, which gives you at least 3 copies of your data. Because the more places your data lives, the less chance you have of losing it. And when you're running a design business, your data is gold. It's what you rely on. If you were to lose this, imagine what it would do to your business. So why take the chance? Cloud Sync, there are many services. If you just want to get started, Dropbox has a free service. It doesn't offer a whole lot of storage, but you can get started for free for an unlimited time until you do need more. And Backblaze is only $60 US per year. So find a way to incorporate that into your backup strategy. Don't think of one or the other. Think of both services working in conjunction for you. It's the only way you'll know that your data is truly safe. Because I hear of so many people that say they use one service or they use the other. And it just makes me cringe. And I hope that they never experience a problem. And I know that if they just took the time and set up both, they would be so much better protected. So that's Cloud Sync versus Cloud Backup. Now, I would love to know, what system do you use? How do you back up your all-important data? Please leave me a comment. Visit resourcefuldesigner.com/episode 238 and let me know. Now, before I end the show, I'd like to remind you about the resource of the week, which is the Divi Marketplace. resourcefuldesigner.com/Divi Marketplace. If you are a Divi user, you definitely want to become familiar with this because there are so many both free and premium resources on here that can help you build better websites. And if you do decide that you want to check out Backblaze, my affiliate link is resourcefuldesigner.com/Backblaze. And finally, if you want to be notified when the Resourceful Designer community is open again to new members, you can visit resourcefuldesigner.com/community. And of course, all of these links are on the website. So that's it for this week. I am Mark Decote, wishing you all the best with your design business, and as always, reminding you to stay creative.
Thanks for listening to the Resourceful Designer Podcast at resourcefuldesigner.com.